Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and welcome to the Airbus A350 once again. This is actually our first flight featuring version 1.0.7 that was released about a week ago, and it is also our first A350 flight featuring full HDR. So this is going to be a really interesting one. Now we're sitting here in Düsseldorf in the Turkish Airlines A350, and there is a very good reason for that. Düsseldorf doesn't see many A350s, but the Turkish flight is one that's normally operated on Airbus A330s, but that occasionally sees A350 service as well, so I thought, well, this is actually a pretty good one to try for you guys. Now, Builds has done quite a couple of updates to the A330 with version 1.07 as well, and we can see two of them in action over here. First of all, we've got the pitot and static covers, and then we also have the engine covers added. So let's go ahead and remove those, and man, as nice as this looks, let's go ahead and remove those over here as well. The chocks are still controlled through the electronic flight bag, so you can't remove the chocks from down here, but still quite a nice feature to have in the sim. Now, as always, be sure to leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video, especially the feedback in regards to the filming in HDR, as I'm still kinda learning that. So let me know how it looks for you and let me know how you like it. And now let's get straight into the aircraft and start setting up for a flight from Düsseldorf to Istanbul. 2 hours and 35 is the expected flight time today, and we do expect a pretty interesting one. So let's take a seat and start by having a look into the OIS. Now, we start on the flight ops menu, and you'll notice that with version 107 we have gotten that new flight ops plan page over here, where you can actually generate sim flight plans from right within the simulator. Pretty cool feature, even though we are not gonna do it today because we have already generated our plan. So let's go to the flight ops status page, import our sim flight plan, and then we can go over to the OFP page and have a look at our plan over here. So we'll start with a couple of the basics, having a look at our weather charts, such as these. And I am going to go a little bit closer so that we can actually see something here. As you can see, a pretty straightforward route all the way down to Istanbul, taking into account a couple of the local country borders over here, which explains that little dent in the route. Now, from there we can go down to the significant weather chart, and we can see that there is a large area over here, which we actually don't have any marking about. We only have that number 1 down here, which I'm not 100% sure that is about. So, yeah, there is this whole weather area here, of which I can't really find any decent explanation. In any case, it all seems to be low-level stuff over here, so I'm not too worried at all, and do expect a smooth flight. Now, if we go a little bit further out again into some proper viewing distance from the plan, then we can go further up again and have a look at the local airport weather. And the local weather conditions are actually fairly straightforward today. So you can see Düsseldorf, clearly southwesterly winds, so runway 23 in use, recent showers of rain, temporary gusts, but almost down the runway, so not really a factor. And our destination Istanbul is looking pretty good. Scattered clouds, the forecast is quite cavouqué, so pretty good weather conditions. Perhaps some scattered clouds coming throughout the morning. Our first alternate, Safair, has excellent weather as well, at least in the forecast. Right now it's still a little bit, right now it's still a little bit out of date, I should say. If you look over here, you can see the METAR is several days old, so we can ignore this. We take the forecast, and that's looking pretty good. Alright, then let's go further up again and have a look at the plan itself. Departing at 8:30, we are going to arrive like half an hour ahead of schedule, Cosmic 30, flight level 410, and we have a lot of margin to both maximum takeoff and maximum landing weight, of course. So with that knowledge, we can go down into the fuel planning, and they want us to leave with 21 tons plus taxi fuel. So if we round that up to 22 tons, we should be absolutely fine to go. Now, with that in mind, let's go down to the load sheet app and do a sim brief import, and then we can change that fuel figure down here to 22 tons. like this, and then set 0 fuel weight and set the fuel. Well, and that's it. So takeoff performance, then we can synchronize SimBrief down here. Takeoff run available is 2,645 meters in Düsseldorf. We can synchronize the weather and then hit compute. Perhaps do the same with air conditioning off again, but it's not going to change the results. So maximum takeoff weight 315 tons, easy going. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and prepare our airport charts. We need the parking chart, we need the ground chart, and then we need the SID chart for our departure. And the SID itself is going to be the Doden 1 Tango. So if we look at the terminal chart, then it's probably going to be this one, runway 23 left, southeast. Yeah, that's it. All right, perfect. So with that, we've got all our charts ready. The one thing that I would still like to see here would be the SID PT charts, which unfortunately are not available within our EFB right now, even though Asobo themselves have already added them to our simulator. But okay, that's for any builds to fix. And then my last standard thing here is always to zoom in and out a little bit on the en route map so that it downloads all that data so that we have it available throughout our flight. Well, and once we're done with that, just zoom it all the way in so that we get our live taxi chart. Okay then, up into the AOC menu, and we do have a couple of new messages over here, as we can see. So that's just the current metas that we've got, the same for our destination, and then a preliminary SimBrief load sheet. And well, that's it. So we can't yet do anything over here, so you can't just request new things here, but it's very nice to see that the AOC page is coming together. That's basically your ACARS. Okay. So, that much for the basics. Let's get into our aircraft's pre-flight preparations then. So, thrust levers idle, start levers off, mode selector norm, landing gear is down, the wipers are off, and the aircraft is already powered up. APU is off for the time being, that's okay. Then let's go ahead and turn on our ADRs, do the fire test, and then we can hit the recoil. 3 seconds, 21, 22, 23, and that's normal. Dispatch page is not simulated just yet, but something I do see over here is that the weather radar is on. So let's go to the surveillance page and kill that weather radar here. It's probably a fault in the panel state, but we should most certainly not have a weather radar enabled while standing at the terminal. Okay, so that much for the safety inspection. Then let's continue our preliminary cockpit preparation here, verifying that we've got sufficient oxygen, rain repellent. Then we go down to the hydraulics, which are kind of looking okay. The right system could need a refill at some point, or the yellow system, but that's okay. Then on to the engines. Let's start our FADEX. Gonna take a little while for them to power up, and then we gotta check the oil quantity. Here we go, the system is powering up now. Oil quantities are okay, 18.5, that's quite good. So it was probably full down in Istanbul before the aircraft came here. Alright, excellent. So, flaps and slats do agree with the levers. The brake pressure indicator is looking fine as well. Perfect. Then we've got the preliminary cockpit preparation completed. So let's go ahead and do our cockpit preparation. Now, aircraft is in a somewhat interesting panel state here. That default turnaround panel state is, I don't know, weird. I mean, why are the fuel pumps on, for example? Just one of the many things that I do notice with this panel state. Okay, then we need 122 800 and we need 121 500. Listen, transmit VHF 1, listen VHF 2, and for the time being I just want to set the transmitter to the interphone so that we don't accidentally spam and block the ATC frequency in case our push to talk gets stuck or whatever. Something like that. Since we're only flying with 2 pilots, we'll go for the transponder down there, and then let's get right into our FMS setup. So on the ATC.com page, ADSC is connected, message record, all messages, no stored, very good. And then we can go down to the surveillance page, verify transponder is standby, weather radar is off. Well, and then let's get up here. So Trent XWB engine, no fuel penalty factor. The nav database is current, then we can delete any of those previously stored data and then go back to our main page and do the flight plan request. Now, I have not quite decided yet whether I want to change between the OFP and the FMS all the time, or whether I just want to open the 2D version of the flight plan. But I somewhat like my 2D version, so that's what I'm going to do over here while we do our flight plan setup. Alright, Turkish 1524, Düsseldorf, Istanbul, alternate in Bravo Zulu, flight level 410, cost NX 30 and 17 knots tailwind. So the temperature at our cruise level is going to be minus 55. For that we actually do need the pad down here. Alright, and the tropopause is in 34,000 feet today. Okay, we don't have any step climbs, so we can already do our wind data request. If you do have step climbs, then delay the wind data request until you have inserted all of those. Alright, so the wind is here, then let's select our departure, Düsseldorf, 23 left, Doden 1 Tango, temporary and insert, and then our arrival into Istanbul. Let's see, relax to Alpha arrival, runway 35 right is planned. So 35 right, ILS, I think it's Zulu. And then relax arrival, let's scroll down a bit. So relax to Alpha. And I think that one is from Imran, but let's go ahead and have a quick look. From Imran, yes. Okay, and insert. Excellent, then we can continue on along our route. So back to init and then nav aids. There is nothing hard tuned in here, very good. Now fuel and load. Let's see, our estimated zero fuel weight is 175.8. We don't know any CG yet, so let's just enter 25. Our block fuel is 22 tons. We don't know a passenger number yet. So, taxi 600 is okay, then our alternate fuel is going to be 3.7 and the final reserve fuel will be 2.4. And route reserve 5% is correct, 700 kilos is also correct. Now let's go over onto the takeoff performance page, and for this we are just going to import the OIS data here. So send to FMS, and remember takeoff shift 358. Confirm and shift 358. There we go. Okay, engine out acceleration in 1650. Then position monitor, and we want Düsseldorf 23 left in here. Then climb page, auto derate is selected. We don't need to pre-select any speeds. So let's now go into the emergency data. So create a new point, and that's going to be Düsseldorf X3. And that's based on Düsseldorf, the runway 23 left, bearing 232, and the distance of 25 miles. Store that waypoint. And then let's go on to the secondary flight plan. Sec1, import active. Flight plan. Insert next waypoint. Dus X3. And we can join a holding over there. 232 right turns and 1 minute lag time. Like this, and then new destination, returning to Düsseldorf, and for this we are going to use runway 23 left with an ILS approach. And that's pretty much it. Excellent, so then let's go back to the active flight plan. Will you? Please? Interesting little bug. Okay, here we go. So fix info page. Düsseldorf 23 left with a radial of 232 to draw the extended center line. And then we have the Dus X3 point. And that's it. Very good. So no step climbs and nothing the likes. So that pretty much finishes our FMS setup. Now let's go ahead and cross-check the SID. So plan mode with constraints, and then we can bring the SID chart up over here. So runway 23 left, we proceed straight ahead to Delta Lima 239 above 3000. That's what we have down here. And then left turn Delta Lima 241, Delta Lima 242 above flight level 150. Then we have Elbal, and then we continue along Betzo and Doden, Doden above flight level 250. And yeah, that's already our SID cross-checked. So then, let's finish up our setup. 5000 is the initial over here, and everything is set. Okay, so let's load the airport map, and once we're done with that, we are pretty much ready for our briefing, and thereafter ready pushback, etc. And here we go, looking very good. Okay, cool. Then, are you ready for the departure briefing? Yes, sir. Excellent. So we are departing Düsseldorf, runway 23 left with the Doden 1 Tango departure. Initial climb 5000, MSA is 2400, and extra fuel and time. Let's have a quick look. 8 minutes, 700 kilos. And that will be absolutely fine today. Alright, thank you for that. No hotspots for our taxi routing, and the stop margin is about 50 meters. Engine outset straight out to Düsseldorf X3, and if we need to make an immediate return, I have prepared runway 23 left ILS in the secondary flight plan. Let's also go to Sec 2, by the way, and import the active over here so that we have a backup of our flight plan. Okay, we are below the maximum landing weight, so an immediate return is possible at any time, and I have no specials on non-standards over here. The altitude restriction, well, it tells me it can't do it over here, but I kinda don't want to believe it, because Delta Lima 242 is quite a distance away. Or 239 it is, but in any case, it's quite a distance away, 5 miles, so we should easily be able to make it. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and do something about it. As Airbus always say, don't watch, but do. So let's turn the acceleration altitude up. If we set that to 3000, then we should easily be able to make the altitude restriction. See, now we make it in 3190. So that's what I'm going to use then. So we fly noise abatement procedure 1 today. Okay, and that's pretty much all I have. No threats for this departure and nothing. Very cool. So then let's go ahead and say hello to our guests. In the meantime, starting the APU. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Turkish Airlines, I would like to welcome you all on board our flight 1524 on this Airbus A350-900 towards Istanbul. Today's flight time has been calculated with around 2 hours and 30 minutes. We expect a smooth flight at an altitude of 12,000 meters. We would like to thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. And if there is anything we can do for you to make it more comfortable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Once again, thank you very much for your attention and welcome on board. So I'm not going to do the Turkish one. The only Turkish thing I could tell them, Yalla, sit down, we want to go. Alright, and that's that. So by now the load sheet should have arrived, so let's go ahead and have a look. We have a zero fuel weight of 175.8, which checks, and a zero fuel weight CG of 24.6. like this. Alright, the passenger number is 320, so we're almost full. And the takeoff weight is now 297.8, and we did calculate 296.7, okay, so I tell you what, 297.8, 197.8, let's just calculate 198, then we're on the safe side here. Okay, the rest of it, if we just synchronize the latest weather, is still fine. Packs are off. Lima 1 is calculated. Compute. And I think that's almost the identical data, but let's just send it over. Yeah, same. Okay, that's fine. And that's our takeoff data inserted. Then cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity. So we have 22,000 kilos balanced. And barrel ref, QNH 1005. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Alright, very good. So, then we've done pretty much everything we could. Now GSX seems inoperative today, the menu just doesn't want to open. So what we're going to do is to use Toolback Pushback Pro from Aerosoft. And I have already set that one up, so let's just go ahead and remove all of our ground stuff here, toggle the slide arming, and then we are ready to go. So you can give me the parking chart for the time being. Here we go, we are down here in Charlie 6, push back onto Yankee, and then taxi Papa 4, Mike, Lima 1. Alright, and that's everything completed down here. So I did already plan the pushback. As you can see, fairly easy one over here into Yankee. Cool, then connect the tuck please. Tuck not available. Oh, lovely. Okay. Well, let's do without a visual connect the tuck then. Okay, before start checklist. So, parking brake, set, takeoff speeds and thrust, V1 135, VR 140, V2 146, flex 59, slides. Why is the 2 left still open? Interesting, it's showing green over here, should be closed, but still showing open on the eCam. Okay, toggle slide arming. Let's disarm all those slides for a moment. Okay, the jetway is still connected. That may very well be the problem. So, toggle jetway. Let's see, they should remove it any moment now. And they do. So why can we not get rid of that message on the top over here? Just get rid of that, please. Okay, so the jetway is gone, and with that they have closed the door as well. So toggle slide arming once more, and here we go. Okay, cool. So slides armed, nosewheel steering disconnect memo. It's of course not going to show here, but checked. Before start checklist complete. Ground from cockpit, hello. Hi, so please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed and we're ready to push. Thank you very much. Parking brake is released, you clear the push, and you let us know when we can start the engines. Thank you. Pushing back, stand by for engine start. So here's that door. Don't need the jump seat. Kinda interesting that it said there was no tuck available, because there is the tuck, but so be it. The only thing I'd like to know now is how can I get rid of that message up here? That's so typical again. of weird add-ons. They bring something up. GSX did the same back then. They bring something up, and then you can't get rid of it again. And it kind of ruins the entire video for my feeling. So let's just hope that it will eventually vanish. Okay, so ready for engine start. Let's wait for the FADEC to power. That's looking good. Now we need 10 seconds timing. Alright, 10 seconds are over. Engine 1 start. Okay, push complete, set brakes. Brake set. So let me try something. Let me go from full screen to windowed mode. But no, it's not removing that thing either. Okay, it was worth a try. But so be it. Okay, we have a good start in engine number 1. You're clear to disconnect and show me the pin on the right hand side. So 1 engine is enough for us today. So, single engine taxi out guideline. When engine 1 is stabilized, cross bleed open, air cross bleed open, APU bleed off, off, APU keep running, after start normal procedures except decom status apply. Okay, so ground equipment removed, and then taxi normal procedure apply. So let's go. We're clear on the right side, and we're clear on the left side. Park and brake is released. So taxi holding point runway 23 left via Yankee Papa 4 Mike Lima 1. And let me try one last thing here. I was kind of hoping I could remove that silly message so that we don't have it up for the entire flight now. I'm just experimenting with this for a short moment here. So now it doesn't even have a connect tug option. Okay, that's bad. That's just bad. They literally managed to ruin a fair portion of the experience here for, you know, nothing. Okay, well. So then, let's go. Park and brake is released, shocks are gone. Come on, how much thrust do you need? Very nice weight, just 200 tons. Single engine taxi out shouldn't be a problem at all. Or are we blocking ourselves now? Nope, we're not. Come on. We need a little bit too much power here to get moving. 40% N1 is too much for this situation. But okay, we're clear on the right hand side and we are clear on the left side. Not that there could be anything over there anyway. Look at that, 2 Egypt Airs next to one another over here. Summer season has definitely started. Probably one to Cairo and the other going to Hurghada, my guess. So, we'll get the aircraft off the apron, and once we are on mic, then we can commence the engine start of engine number 2. So, back down to 10 knots, we're clear on the right side, and we are clear on the left side. And in case you haven't noticed, I totally love that Düsseldorf scenery. It's just excellent seeing my original home airport in that level of detail. Okay, so for engine 2 start and when taxiing in a straight line, APU bleed on, APU bleed on, start selector, ignition start. That's ignition start. Now we've got to wait for the FADEC to power. Here we go, timing 10 seconds. And here we go, so engine 2 starts. Now you might be wondering why we did the single engine taxi out in first place, and the answer is, in the real world this would probably have saved about $100 or $200. So most definitely worth doing. Especially considering a large airline like Turkish that can do this on you know how many flights. So you easily end up saving a couple $1,000 every day, times 365 days a year. So that's quite a sum at the end of the year. Okay, good start on engine 2, starting the timer. Then, when engine 2 is stabilized, chrono start selector norm. Then APU as required, so we can shut it down. Thrust bleed selector auto, air thrust bleed auto. And after start, normal procedures apply. ECAM status is checked and anti-ice is off. After start checklist, please. Anti-ice? Oh yeah. This one wants me to do the flight control track. I sometimes don't understand why, but okay. So, flight controls. Full up, full down, neutral. Full left, full right, neutral. And the rudder. Full left, full right, and neutral. Okay, so anti-ice off, flight controls checked, ground clearance received, after start checklist complete. And I have no changes to our takeoff briefing. Anything from your side? Nope. Wonderful. So, cabin, you should have been ready a long time ago. Here we go. Taxi checklist, please. Flap setting, conv 1+F. Radar on, taxi checklist complete. Okay, so we only have that Eurowings departing ahead of us, and then it's going to be our turn already. All arrivals should be to the parallel runway only, so nothing for us to worry about. And the Eurowings is doing the lineup. Excellent. A319. So, what's the guy behind us doing? Okay then, lineup runway 23 left. So, cabin crew, prepare for departure. And we're clear on the approach. Also clear on the left side. Now, get me through that turn, please. It's always interesting what the oversteering looks like from the flight deck. But look at it from the outside, and you can see that we have to drive even a little bit further here to make it a complete lineup. Here we go. So we have 3 minutes warm-up time. That's all we need. Then, lineup checklist. Cabin, secured. Takeoff runway. 23 left, Lima 1. Pax 1 and 2. Off. Lineup checklist complete. Are you ready? Sounds good. Takeoff. Manflex 59, SRS, runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. Thrust setting looks a little bit weird. But we have achieved the percentage we need. Happy with that. 100 knots. Checked.
V1.
Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. So very lightweight. You can see we got a pitch to about 15 degrees here compared to the usual 12.5. Well, and with that, bye-bye Düsseldorf. Hello Istanbul. Thrust decline, auto thrust. So, of course I forgot to turn the landing light on. I don't see any problem with that 3,000 feet restriction at all here. That prediction on the ground might have been a little bit too... 3,400. Look at how rapidly that's climbing. Easy going. Totally easy going. So by now we would have called departure, gotten some climb, say level 190. Okay, climb. And 19,000 blue. Flap 0. Speed checked. Engines are in climb, so we don't need that. We don't need that timer anymore. We have the flight timer running down here now. Well, and with that, we are on the way. I like my A350, I really do. It's quickly developing into one of my favorites. Of course, it's system-wise not as complex as the Phoenix or the PMDGs, but in terms of normal procedures, it covers pretty much anything I need. Set standard. Standard cross-check, passing flight level 5-3 now. Checked. So, acceleration flow pattern is also complete. Now let's do that left-hand turn here. And once we have completed that turn, I'm probably going to turn the autopilot on. It's good to do as much hand flying as you can when operating a long-haul aircraft, especially if you do get to operate the occasional short haul, where you are typically, a bit more awake than you'd be on most long hauls, or after most long hauls. So, here we go. Autopilot 1. And that's it. Lovely rate of climb, 2,500 feet a minute, even with a reduced climb thrust. That's how I like it. So then, the Delta Lima 242 limit shouldn't be a problem at all with flight level 150, estimates to be in 182 by then. The Doden flight level 250 is also not a problem. Very, very good. That's how I like it. That's absolutely how I like it. And indeed, I'm fairly sure the 3,000 foot restriction over here at Delta Lima 239 wouldn't have been a problem either. But, kind of wanted to keep it realistic. If the FMS tells you can't do it, then you adjust until everything fits. Alright, passing 100. So, lights, signs, the EFIS is set anyway. Weather and terrain, that's okay for the route of flight. Don't expect much there anyway. Well, apart from that, what else can I do? Check the nav aids, nothing hard-tuned. Performance page, optimum 403, maximum 419, so 410 looks like the perfect cruising level for us. And with that out of the way, I'd say sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight with us. So we have just completed the setup of our aircraft for today's arrival into Istanbul, and I want to give you a quick update on what we are going to do. So let's start by reviewing the weather. If we look at the Asus, we can see that they are departing 35 left and 36, and that means in return the arrival runway is going to be 35 right. Now, the wind is 020 at 7, slightly variable, scattered clouds here, temperature 13, QNH 1022. Our arrival is the Relax 12 arrival, which I have already entered in the FMS. And as you can see over here, it's fairly long and protracted, but there are altitude restrictions everywhere that are going to keep us within a reasonable flight level. I do expect some pretty good shortcuts today though, so I'm not worried about flying all of these strange point merge arrivals at all. The approach itself will be an ILS Zulu approach 35 right, and that's via the Imran transition. Everything's set up already, minimum 510, and we also have our standard taxi route after arriving on 35 right, which is basically southbound, and then we're gonna park somewhere over here. Well, and that's what we got for the most part here. So with those things out of the way, I tend to say we're going to start with an approach briefing straight away. Alright, thanks. So we are flying in the Relax 12 arrival, ILS approach, Zulu 35 right, minimums is 510, extra fuel and time, let's have a look at this. 21 minutes, 1,900 kilos, and the go-around trajectory, pretty easy. Fox Mike 0902 hold, 3,000 feet. Alright, thank you for that. So flight rector guided ILS approach, no specials, config full landing, and we will use our BTV, which we can just set up now. So Istanbul, loading, let's give it a little while. To actually load that up. Or we can just help it down here. So airport selection, give me Istanbul please. Loading. Alright, cool. So we're vacating the runway to the right hand side with maximum reverse thrust to keep our engine or keep our brakes nice and cool. And apart from that, I really have no specials and nothing non-standard here. Do you see any threats for the arrival? No? Lovely. So should easily be able to make the first exit here. Let's scroll down a bit. Charlie 7, no. Charlie 8, yes. Alright, perfect. Alright, cool. So that's our briefing completed. So we're passing 10,000 and have started our approach into Istanbul. Let's go ahead and turn those lights on, signs on, make sure the EVIS CP is set. And LS is selected on both sides. Apart from that, speed error at waypoint Imran, that's not a problem. We have intentionally kept the speed up a little bit because there is no traffic anywhere ahead of us. So that's not a reason to worry for us. Apart from that, we have pretty much taken the shortcuts that we expected to take and are now on a nice downwind for, or rather on a nice base for the ILS Zulu runway 35 right here in Istanbul. Let's go ahead and do a quick landing performance calculation here, because that one actually imports the weather that we really have in the sim. So the winds are 050 at 8, 13, and 1022. Apart from that, we'll use medium auto brakes, reverses yes, config full, and just compute that. Of course we know we can land, but legally speaking we're still required to do this. Okay, so a little bit of traffic over here. That one's a departure, that doesn't matter. And then we got a couple arrivals, or one arrival coming. No, that's actually climbing, that's a departure as well. Alright, so no traffic for us to worry about over here. Well then, let's descend altitude 4,000 feet, and then we can reduce our airspeed once reaching 4,000. Might be a little bit fast over here at gap D, but totally happy with that. Alright, so the chart tells us do not engage ILS before localizer intercept point gap D. I'm still confused by what they mean with do not engage ILS, because I cannot engage in ILS, I can engage in approach mode. But yeah, some chart designers write weird procedures. So there's the old Istanbul airport straight ahead of us. Man, I'm feeling old. I flew to that one for quite a while. Alright, so let's go ahead and activate approach mode. Land 3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2, glide slope localizer blue. And yes, I'm intentionally ignoring whatever they want to say with this little marker down there. 1,000 to go. And manage speed and speed vertical speed. Alright, let's do this. What is this autopilot disconnect warning doing? Yeah, go away please. Block star. Alt star, lock, alt. Okay, approach checklist please, and just clear that ecam there. So, barrel ref, QNH 1022. Minimum baro 510, runway condition is dry, and auto brake BTV approach checklist complete. So, flaps 1, speed checked, flaps 1, and we have glide slope star. Go around altitude 3000, set. So, 5 knots of headwind, that's making our life fairly easy. Glide slope. 10 miles out, speed is below 200, flaps 1 are out. Perfect. Nicely established. Alright, let's have a little bit of fun. Flight directors off. And bird on. Here we go. That's how I like it. So, landing field elevation 370. We should keep that one in mind for our landing gear extension. Of course, the radio altimeter may not always be 100% accurate here. Okay, flaps 2. Speed checked, flaps 2. Gear down. Flaps 3. Speed check, flaps 3. Manual thrust. Flaps full. Speed check, flaps full. Landing checklist. Ecam memo, landing no blue. Landing checklist complete. So, that's looking pretty good. The only thing I've got no clue about is what this Russian is doing here on the side.
1000.
I mean, no comment on that, huh? So there is that Russian, just doing a low pass over the airport, it seems. Because why not? So one AI is crossing the runway down there. The one I'm worried about is the second AI on the right hand side though. Because I have a feeling he might reach the runway by the time that we get there. And knowing Microsoft Flight Simulator AI, I'm fairly sure he's not gonna stop for us.
500. 400.
But we are gonna ignore him, that's as much as I can tell you already.
300. 200.
Oh yeah, artificial idiots at work, huh? See, another reason why I don't like using AI traffic in the sim.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Spoilers, reverse green, decel. $70 knots. Manual brakes.
Brake off.
Well, and here we are. Made it perfectly over to that exit. So then, vacating the runway, and then we'll turn off to the right hand side. And once we're actually clear of the runway, then we can clean the aircraft up. But our first priority is always to leave the runway and get the entire airplane, not just the cockpit, but also the tail, off the runway. So, adding a little bit of power to engine number 1 to help us with the turn. And here we are. So then, after landing procedures. There's no after landing checklist here, so that's nothing for us to worry about. And then we're taxiing down here to the Bravos. So taxi routing leads us until November 1, then from November 1 on to Delta. Okay. So we don't have an after landing checklist, so happy with this. Let's see about AI traffic. There's a couple ones turning over there. I don't think they're going to be any problem going on to Delta. So that's November 2 over here. Next will be November 1. So let's start slowing down a little. And here we go, 10 knots off to the left. Okay, so we'll take slightly non-standard taxi here, straight ahead until Tango 2, and then we'll turn straight on to Tango 2. So, next to the right, Tango 2, as you can see on the sign over there. So, down to 10 knots. We'll go around the turn. Start APU. And shut down engine number 2. Okay, so the next gate on the left is going to be ours. That's Bravo 9. And clear on the left side. Come on, aircraft. Get moving. Are you serious? You gotta be kidding me. We're not flying online here. This is not someone logging into VATSIM. This is literally AI traffic spawning right at the gate. But I tell you what, I just killed the AI in the background. So we'll taxi all the way to the forward stop bar. Pretty much like this. Too bad that GSX is completely inoperative these days. Otherwise we could maybe have gotten some guides in, but yeah, so be it. So, park and brake set, APU bleed is coming on, and shut down. Cabin crew, all doors in park. So, disarming the slides, then beacon light off, slides are disarmed, so seatbelts also going off. Okay, so shocks in position, GPU coming on, jetway is ordered. And then let's just shut it down completely. So, parking checklist please. Park and brake hot shocks, brake set, wing lights, off, parking checklist complete. Well then, the jetway is almost connected. They're opening the one left door now. Perfect. Well, my friends, and that's all I can offer you for today. Thank you very much for flying along. I sure hope that you enjoyed the trip as much as I did. Leave your feedback in the comments underneath the video. Let me know how you like the graphics flying HDR over here. If you know any trick of how to get rid of that pushback top not available message, do let me know. I'd definitely appreciate that. Well, and with all of that out of the way, thank you very much for flying along. I hope you enjoyed the flight with us. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and if you really love what I'm doing on this channel, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to see you all again on the next one.